having this morning. Joining us is an old friend that has abandoned me. He abandoned me and he did not even know that he would be coming here to catch a glimpse of me. It's great having you again, Ebenezer Wikina. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you.
It's so good to see you. It's great to see you. You never change, bro. Wow.
Thank you.
What are you eating?
Well, the economy is helping to also keep us in keep us trim.
This is great. And talking about Wikina, he's been there. If you have been following activities in River State, you would have real activities. You would have actually known that it's one person who is there from issues related to social media, to policies and everything. When we knew those issues related to, NGO and the Niger Delta region. He's really pushed it for a long time now. He's the founder of the Policy Shapers, a civic startup. He's been there. I envy him because he's traveled to more countries than I've ever thought about. So before we talk about Rivers, that's the Vision 2050.
Yeah.
You've traveled to different parts of the world.
Yeah.
What would you say is that you think that as a state we haven't done?
Yeah, no, that's a very good place to start, because it was in the course of one of my travels, actually. So I was traveling to India for a work meeting, and we had a layover in Qatar. And this was in 2022 when Qatar was hosting the World Cup. So this was during the World Cup, we had the airport was very, very busy and everything. And first of all, I was excited to be there, but then I started to take notice of everything around me. The way the place was built, within the airport, they had almost like a forest that had 25,000 plants and trees within the airport. So, just imagine Omagua now. Think of within Omagua, they had a garden, a tropical garden. Within the airport, they had a train that had no driver, so it was a driverless train. Within the airport, they were able to have places where you could host people who were coming. Because the World Cup, you have thousands and millions of people coming from around the world, right? So I started to wonder. I said 30 years ago, these people were just like a desert with sand, and they are basically in the Arabian Gulf, so that's a lot of heat and sand. And I think it struck me even further when I noticed that the size of Qatar and the size of River State are the same. So we're both 11,000 square kilometers in land mass. They have oil, they have gas, we have gas. They are even in a harder place where they don't have any possible water. They can't plant anything on the ground. We just throw water leaf in the backyard and water leaf begins to grow, right? So I said, how come they are this different, and what exactly are we doing wrongly that we're not able to be and look like this? And so that's actually from that 2022, I just started to get really restless about it. All through my work, just as you said, I worked at Plain Foundation, and we had supported a couple of states like Abia states, Cross River states, to come up with 30-year visions for the state. So the time when we had Donald Duke in Cross River, the vision that he had for the state sadly didn't get carried on, but he had an enormous vision to make Cross River a destination place, right? So there's a way. Obudu had his own landing pad where you could fly directly into Obudu and stuff like that. So I had done side of work, and we had to come to River State a couple of times to try to get the government to do something without any success. Administration after administration, lack of interest. Oga will see you. Meeting, you wait for 7 hours, 6 hours at government house, and you don't get any traction. So I said, okay, since the government wouldn't do anything about it, I just had my son in 2024, and I thought, what kind of world will he live in? What kind of state? He's an old man, he'll grow up here, right? So when he gets to my age, what kind of life will he have? Will he live the same kind of life I'm living, where struggling for every single thing as a young person? Or will he live in a place that is better than basically what I found? So so that was inspiration. By 2025, last year, February, I thought to launch it. So we launched the project. Usually the government would be the one to do the vision. But because we had our government not interested, we said, okay, what would it look like if citizens actually come together to develop a vision, a long-term vision for River State? And how can we also get government involved, get private sector involved, get citizens, local people, rural communities, and let people talk about what their challenges are and where they see themselves in the next 10, 15, 20 years and what they need, basically. And so that's how we began. We broke this project into 5 phases. Just before you come in, into 5 phases. We first of all set up a task force with young people, because young Rivers people are supposed to be the future of the state, right? And if anyone should be speaking about the future, should even care about the future should be us, because we're going to live longer here. Whatever decisions are made now will suffer the repercussions much more than any other generation. So young people are leading that conversation, and then we went into the communities and said, how can we get community voices as part of this vision? So it's not just a vision where some elitist group of people have come together and put together. And so, we started a survey, a statewide survey. We've now surveyed over 4,000 Rivers people across the 23 local government areas. The goal is to hit between 5,000 to 7,000. And what we're asking them basically is simple, like, what's the current economic status, like your household income, educational level, your employment level, just to gauge and see what it's like. And the data is very scary, Alex. Like, we're finding out that in Rivers State, the average household income across 20 local government areas is between 25,000 and 50,000 naira. Average household income. So that's what people survive on a month. Average. For an oil producing state, that makes no sense. I know you mentioned the countries earlier, right? If you go to Qatar, you go to the UAE, you have these countries pay their citizens. Like, they plan so well that they have enough resources to be able to pay and care for their citizens, for their needs. You get married, they give you a land and build a house for you. Like, where does that that's showing how far gone they are. And it's the same resources that we have. They don't have anything that is unique compared to us, So I think it's just a matter of the fact that Rivers State for a long time hasn't had a long-term vision. Actually, the last time we had a long-term vision was 50 years ago, when we had a governor, our first military governor, Commander Alfred J.S. Smith, who was in his 20s, by the way. People don't realize this. People always say young people are not good enough to lead, but we had a 20-year-old, 24-year-old governor whose innovation and vision sort of like led to the design of our state post the Civil War. So things like the Point Local Secretariat, Isaac Borough Park, Reason Palm, West Africa Gas Company. So even Transamadi as an idea began from that administration. The fact that you should have an industry, was the first in the country, have an industrial layout which employed thousands of people, which by the way now is almost dead, right? So it's because of that lack of vision, we moved from a place where we were visionary and we used to imagine things and lead this country in so many things, to a point now where I feel sad to say we feel like a laughing stock. People just think about us when they think about jokes. Those Rivers people that are funny, that have live bands, But I'm saying we can be much more than that. We have been better than that, and we can actually come back to that again if we put it to work. So that's the inspiration behind it.
59 years old man or woman.
It's old.
Spent more than half of their lives.
Exactly.
And then we are 59.
Yes.
But I want us to place it this way.
Yes.
We are 59. Okay, if you imagine it, man, woman, 59 years old. But interestingly, we're born on Children's Day.
Which is an interesting point, right?
So how do we really place this together economically, politically, and talking about the plans for the future generation? Because at 59, we should have been doing better. But it looks like we are celebrating 59 on the day children are celebrating
the same day as us.
And we are as if we're behaving lower than we should. What do you think about that? But this is different from what you imagine I would ask.
This is an interesting question.
So how do we place it?
And I think that's an interesting parallel there, right? The fact that Rivers State's anniversary falls on the same day as our Children's Day, National Children's Day. And I feel like again it speaks to the fact that our children and the young people are the future of the state.
True.
Right? I don't know. I mean, usually in the past when we were at school, we go to march past and stuff like that, to get to the governor. I'm not sure if that happened this year. I don't think I saw any photos, right? I even saw the governor make a speech about the anniversary late at night, and I was really angry. Like, why didn't he talk about this early enough? This is something that is a huge thing for us as a state, right? So I think that the coincidence is the fact that this speaks to the fact that young people and children are very important. And you're right that at 59,
Yeah.
we're supposed to be far and way better than where we are. As a state, we're supposed to be at the point where we're supposed to be close to retirement. A 59-year-old man has 6 more working years, right? So the question is, in 6 years' time, if River State doesn't, wants to quote retire, if River State wants to get to and say we've invested for 5 decades, can we afford to? Do we even have enough savings? Let's even begin with that. Before I say because the state invests, because you have countries, whether you're looking at people like Norway and co, who are also oil, rich and oil-based places, invest in the stock markets, invest in companies and stuff like that, right? In fact, Norway, and we've been trying to get the Norwegian government to come speak to us. We had folks from Singapore last week come share with us some of their secrets on how they've been able to build their things. Norway had invested so much of their oil money and diversified their economy that they own 1% of all publicly traded companies in the world. That's ridiculous. So even if oil stops tomorrow, they're fine, right? The money that they've saved and invested is enough to take care of them for the rest of time. Because any company that's invested in this world, they have shares in almost 1,000+ companies. So I think that just looking at that parallel and just saying that children are the future of the country, of the state, of the family, and that our anniversary falls on this date should be a reminder to us that we need to be doing better to invest in the future of our state. We need to take our children and our future seriously because we have no other home. This is our only state. We can't go anywhere else. This is, if we don't make here better, nobody will fix it for us. So
Interesting.
That's the point.
And just joining us now to have that conversation further happens to be James Chamberlain Omaye. He's a team member of Rivers 2050 Vision. Chamberlain, which would you prefer I call you? James?
Chamberlain is fine.
Okay, because I was wanting to know if we are already in the UK. Okay, so Chamberlain, many youths are exhausted. I could remember so many years ago when we were coming up. This is not Nigeria, though. We are focused on River State. But yeah, happens to be like a confluence for so many persons. It's either you're in Lagos or you are in Rivers. So the young people are either doing well in Lagos or they are doing well in Rivers. And just like we're having a conversation, Rivers shouldn't have any reason not to have surpassed Lagos. Are we talking about aquaculture? Are we talking about agriculture? Are we talking about entertainment? Are we talking about the seas, the rivers? Are we talking about what is tourism? Are we talking about energy? Where should we hold on to and say Rivers State should be the best state in Nigeria? But here we are, and the youths are feeling very exhausted. We've had a vision. In 2010, there were stories about it. MDG in 2020. Now they've kicked the can down to 2030. But we are looking at Rivers 2050 vision. And that's about, if I should, it's about 24 years. And we're looking at 24 years in, added to our age right now. Many of us, we are going past the age of being a youth. But looking at it right now, the fact that so many youths are exhausted in River State, how do you think we can get back on track in Rivers, where the youths are more interested in politics? And not just interested in politics because they want to make a difference. They're interested in politics because the political players right now are grooming their own set to come do the same thing they are doing. Where do we go from here?
Well, thank you, presenter. I feel very terrible about the state of River State, like the state of River State. River State is a state in a state. Because growing up, just yesterday I saw something online, I think on X, about Ghana just launched children parliaments. Children parliaments where these children are groomed parliamentarians and all of that. And I remember when we were in secondary school, we used to have this children's parliament where we go to every Monday, like discuss. I think that was like 2003, 2007, that in that period. Now, that was a breeding ground for the next generation of leaders, whether we like it or not. Children are being exposed to policy making, decision making, leadership, governance. But it's quite unfortunate that the state has retrogressed by 10 steps backward. I'll give you a difficult case now. The average Port-Harcourt boy wants to be in Lagos. And in the early 2000s, I was still a very small boy. It wasn't like that. But I think we also shot ourselves on the leg in a way when the whole militancy thing started, and then there was migration of organizations from the south down to most parts, usually in Lagos. And then I also feel that the government has also played a very, very negative role in this whole thing. So now, for the young people who say they're going into politics, it's quite unfortunate that what we have is more sycophantic politics than politics aimed at creating a difference. Politics for service. It's more like, how do I chop, and not how do I serve. So first of all, there needs to be a moral review. Why do I want to serve? Am I serving for self or for the interest of the people? From 1999 to date, Rivers State has received not less than 4 trillion naira claims of FAC. And I'm looking at the state like ours. The other day we are driving past and then you see crash on South Road. This is 2026. And for someone who has an environmental background, I know that this is not good for the environment. Why do we have a state that we cannot say, oh, within 1999 till date, we can post up like either a tech hub that can say, oh, this place has really produced this number of persons. And then I was having a chat with EBN just a few days ago. I'm like, from the oil revenue we generate in the states, can we have 20% of that revenue allocated for non-oil startups? Why do we have startups all migrating to Lagos? Because one, aside the fact that there's a bit of government stability. You can imagine what politics has done in Rivers State, where I remember speaking to an organization last year, and just after the meeting, it was on a Tuesday, after the meeting, they go, that's I was like, what is this? We should have gone past this level. We should be talking about development. How can between the local government areas of Rivers State be accessible? What is the purchasing power of Rivers people, the average Rivers man now? I was looking at 4.4 million Rivers people, multi-dimensional poverty. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. If we can see rice and beans, or we can see food to eat, there are so many places we can have. And this is supposed to be an oil city, but we are not seeing the oil.
You are.
Where?
You're seeing the gas plant.
You're seeing the gas plant. And you're seeing the oil spills.
Oil spills and the suits.
And then look at how backward we are. And then looking at our internet penetration just 2 days ago. Funny enough, I was surprised to see that Kano is even ahead of us in terms of internet penetration.
Kano State.
Kano State.
I was shocked. You can check it out. It's on Nairametrics. I was looking at the data and I'm like, Kano.
Just as I said, there's so many places where we used to be the pinnacle and we have come down.
About school to land. These are organizations that can pull out people from the streets. If they are functioning.
So education, employment. The third is energy, and we mentioned this earlier. Energy is definitely an area where we can become a leader. First, meeting our own domestic energy growth, because if you can't solve energy domestically, you won't have companies come, right?
That's true.
You won't be able to grow your economy. So I think energy is key. We can't rely on the Electricity Act being signed has given us power as states to generate our electricity.
Independence, electricity.
So we can't afford to wait for the national grid. We're currently waiting for the national grid as a state. So if the national grid collapses, we collapse. If it stands up, we stand up. So as a state, we cannot afford to do that. Abia and the rest of them, Lagos, they've all started to move on their own.
Yeah.
So what are we doing? So energy is key. And the fourth point is economic diversification. I think that's the point that James was speaking about, where Chamberlain said, even the resources that we get, and we've seen this happen all over the world, whether it's Singapore or Qatar or the UAE, they take the money that they make from selling oil, knowing that the oil age has a phase, and use that money to invest in other sectors. Non-oil sectors. So tourism. So for example, the UAE identified just as you mentioned Canada, UAE identified their various emirates and said, okay, Dubai will be the tourism hub. So that's why you see there's so much investment in Dubai to become a place where everyone wants to go. I want to go to Dubai, I want to go to Dubai. They've built it and packaged it so well that you feel like that's the best place in the world, right? So how are we diversifying our economy such that, climate scientists have said that the world has, for us to keep global warming at below 1.5 degrees, the world has 9 years to diversify from oil. So the question is, River State has to stop oil production in 9 years.
So you can imagine
what will happen to us?
So you can imagine if we have River State sovereign investment funds or trust fund where as an entrepreneur or as a thinking solution provider,
you have access to business funds to support your
and then your business must be located here. So I think a couple of weeks ago there was these guys from River State. They are doing very well. They were in France for one of these competitions which they won. And then the deputy governor for Lagos State was like talking to them and said, guys, can you come over to Lagos?
Because that's what's happened all the time.
Can you come over to
businesses
Lagos?
begin here with these ideas.
Exactly. And then they move there. So imagine if these guys they're like, for now they can't move. So if that's the one we know, what about the ones we don't know?
Okay. So now talking about the ease, I want to pick on one, which is unemployment, because in the birth of all of these happens to the children, or the young people, and it's interesting that from what you've told me, I think about 90% of the people you've been working with happens to be young people. I want to really ask. There is the education, there's employment, and now there is uneducation, which there's nowhere like that. So, which is illiteracy. There's illiteracy, and the issue of unemployment currently being fueled, by the get-rich-quick mentality and syndrome. How do we solve this, and how is the Rivers 2050 vision going to solve this? Because it looks like they need a lot of motivation, they need a lot of reorientation. What is the Rivers 2050 vision going to do about this?
I think you can't solve this in a silo. I think it's a holistic societal problem, right? Where as a society, we somehow, without speaking, have okayed, shortcuts as a society. It began with when they were chasing in jam back in the day, when they were like, it doesn't matter, just make a child, just get a child answer, then it just pass. And now it's gone to the point where people are now doing whether it's wrongs or or doing internet fraud and stuff like that, right? I think it's a societal construct. As a society, we need to ask ourselves questions like, what are we comfortable with? And I think our society needs to also grow to the point where we have positive, empowering role models. People who have worked it up from the scratch with verifiable, proofs of like this person 2 years ago was, was here. But now you can see the progress of 2 years. He has moved slowly from year to year, right? People like you, Alex, for example, who have been working in this space in the media industry for such a long time. So we need those kind of role models. Those are people that we need to be celebrating. But who does society celebrate? When you go to Insta, blog, and the rest of the platforms, the people that we celebrate are those who are get rich quick, people who have money, people who have things to show and flaunt, right? Much more than what we look at as substance. So I think it calls for sober reflection as society, that we actually need to look at what do we uphold, what do we frown against. There's time society used to frown against even the boy and the girl holding their hands. Walking on the street, and that might be extreme, but just holding your hands. If someone that's not your dad will say, "What are you doing there? What are you doing?" and call you out. But it feels like we've gotten so lax about so many things, and morally we've shifted our compass so much that anything is okay. Just make money. Just be successful.
I want to wind on this. Gently, I'll come to you because there's something I want us to clarify. When we hear Vision 2050, we're already thinking about a lot. But I would want to clarify. But there's an area that is very important to me, which based on my education.
Yeah.
It's psychological gap that has been faced. So how is the Rivers 2050 vision going to bridge this psychological gap, helping the young people transition from a short-term anxiety, to a long-term visionary thinking? How are we going to do it? Because we need to build this resilience. There is issue of mental health right now. Young people are, they're anxious, they are depressed. They look around them, things are not happening the way it should. They want to go to school, they can't afford it. They are out of school, there's no job. So many of them are depressed, many of them are facing different mental health challenges. Many of them are taking to crime, many of them are taking to drugs. How do we move from this state to the right thinking ahead of us?
I think it begins with hope. I think there's a lot of hope missing in just our lives, and I feel that's what also has driven up the Japa syndrome. Right? People talk about Japa a lot, and whether we're talking about Japa from Nigeria out of the country, or even Japa within domestic, moving from Rivers to Abuja or Rivers to Lagos, what we often see. I think it's just that sense that people can't really find hope. Young people can't really see what gives them hope that Rivers State will get better, right? And I think what Rivers 2050 vision is doing is even to say, can we even, much more than just us sitting down and waiting for someone to fix our things for us, what initiative can we even take? And we've seen that drive a lot of people like Chamberlain and Co. who have come on the team are people who are showing that Chamberlain has been trained at the School of Politics and Governance, and he's come back and he's showing how he can even use all of those things that he's built to come make our states better, right? So we're bringing people from the diaspora as well back in to say it's our states. In the end, if you say you're from a particular place, River State is where you say you're from. You cannot say you're from somewhere else.
How much is a team planning to invest in mental health, and the psychological gap?
Yes, no, there's so much investment in it. We spoke to the Commissioner of Health, former Commissioner of Health, now former, and spoke about the extensive nature of need for mental health care as well in the states, and just battling with addictions too as well. I think that's also something that we see even in secondary schools too. So I think for us, because the first step for us is let's get the vision book out there. We're going to launch the vision book in November, late October, November, depending on how the policy calendar goes. And once we launch it out there with the plan for each sector, the goal is then to begin to engage the people we've already engaged them because they're the ones who came together to say, okay, this is what my sector has a problem in, and this is how to solve it. And so when we bring government and private sector together under the same room and say, how do we fix this? What is the solution to this? We hope that for each sector, we can then begin to work out actionable strategies to be able to implement solutions in this sector. So the solutions are there for mental health, care for just even Ministry of Social Welfare, the way that our ministry handles things like people who have mental health issues on the streets, like you see them around the streets most of the time. Do we just let them walk around? What's the best practice globally for how you handle these kind of cases, right? How do we ensure that they are even funded enough to handle the cases? Is it just one or two people in the ministry that we expect to go save all the people around the streets, So what's the funding like to the health sector, to the education sector? UNESCO says that a developing country should invest 15 to 20% of its budget on education. What are we investing? We don't even know because in 12 years we haven't seen our budget. So these are existential questions that we're asking. And we're also not just putting politics aside, because we're also writing out to all of the leaders of the state, written to the past leaders. Even His Majesty King Alfred Smith, we wrote to him when we began the project. Former governor, His Excellency Sir Peter Obi, we written to him as well. And all of the former governors to come and say, add your voice to this vision, because that's the only way we can grow as a state. Enough of the strife and the fighting and we have fought for I don't know how many years now. We haven't gained anything. We continue to just fight ourselves. We are all brothers, we're all sisters. How do we sit together and actually design so that Rivers State can come back to its glory days? Days where, as a Riversman and Riversman, you're proud to be a Rivers person. Whether you're a Rivers person by marriage, by association, whatever it is you are, you're a Rivers and you're proud, and you're happy to be here, you're safe. You can start your business, you can leave work at a certain time and be safe to go home without being afraid, So it's a long road.
It's a long road.
Yeah, it's not something we can implement, and I'm not sure we can do any quick fixes, but I feel like the structural need for us to come up with a vision is what we began. And slowly, we invite everyone to join us, rivers2050.org. Slowly, we hope that we can actually build the momentum that we need to solve the areas in our state.
So everybody can be a part of this.
Yes, everybody.
We'll get to that. And Chamberlain, is this a political movement? Because why I'm asking this is, I heard we've written to this person, we've called on this person, we've reached out to this person. You know, they had it will be Rivers 2050 Vision Party. You know, they had, you know. So I would want to know, is this a political movement?
We are non-partisan.
Yeah.
Non-political. Just a theme of young people who say, see, Rivers is not what it used to be before. How can we make Rivers better?
Okay.
And what it is? Because we believe it can get better. And the only way for us to do that is to come together and come up with something which is the vision we have, and we're sharing and saying, Rivers, this is what we have. You can be part of us. We do not have any political backing.
None. No godfather.
No godmother.
No godmother.
No godmother sisters. No god neighbor. No god neighbor.
People have asked us, who is funding you?
Who is bankrolling you? Yes.
Nobody's bankrolling.
Nobody's bankrolling you. You have a big God.
We have a big God.
We have a very big God.
So talking about so many persons, but would be saying right now that they want to be a part of this?
Yes.
Because just like I have already pointed out, you don't need to be from Rivers to be a part of it. I know people who are vying for elections in Lagos State right now. They are not from Lagos State. Some persons, an actor is currently vying for a position in Abuja, in the municipal council area, you know, so the Buhari area. They are not from Abuja, but that is what they do. So how some persons are asking, I have been here all my life. As far as I do not even go to my village. I do not know anything about
this. Is now home.
This is home.
As fact, I've been here for 9 years, and I can tell you that I haven't spent more than, I don't think I've spent up to 1 week in my state. So it tells you, and imagine 1 week in a year. So all my thoughts is now Rivers State. So for persons who are like that, and are saying, I like this idea, or I want to support you, I want to be a part of this movement, or I want to encourage my young people to be a part of this, because when you associate with people who are the right thinkers, you'll be pushed to do better as a young person. So some parents are looking at it and saying, I want my young child to be a part of these people. I have seen what you've done, Wikina. I'm not trying to. I don't even have a trumpet. You know, but I've seen what you've done. I've known you for 9 years or even more. I've seen how you have developed, how you've grown, the countries you've traveled to, where you've spoken. You know, around different platforms in the world. Some parents would be like, I think these are Chamberlains here. Some other persons who I do not know are part of this team. I want my children to be a part of this. So they are listening right now. How do they, latch on and be a part of this
project? Just before I come to that, I just wanted to say that you're actually spot on that. I think historically, Rivers State and Port-Harcourt has been a cosmopolitan place, right? Where we do not see tribe, we do not see. I think what we've been hearing recently about tribe and is a recent thing.
Is the only cosmopolitan. Port-Harcourt is the only cosmopolitan city in Nigeria.
Yes, historically that's what we've been, and we actually need to keep that, because if we lose that identity, we could lose ourselves. So I'm just saying that to say that this project, even though it's called the Rivers 2050 Vision, it's not just for Rivers people, it's for people who are here in Rivers State. You're born here, you live here, you're from here, whatever it is, as far as diaspora, you're a Rivers person with diaspora, it's a very open project, and we've kept it as cosmopolitan as possible to ensure that we take everyone in as well. Now, as for how to get involved with the project, so we have a project website where we've documented everything we've done so far with the project. Our team meetings, even as far as our team meetings when we began, the engagements we've had with the various leaders, whether it's the commissioners, the private sector leaders across the various sectors. We've now done about 11 sectors, and there are 4 more to to go. So go to rivers2050.org. You can find more information about how, like, what we've done so far. If you have an expertise in any of the areas and you want to share more information, info@rivers2050.org. You can send us information like ideas, thoughts, whatever it is you want as to how we can make the project better. But I think one of the paramount ways we really love people to engage is that there's a statewide survey that is going on. I mentioned that we now surveyed 4,000 people. We want to survey as many people as possible, right? So that we can get as much ideas and thoughts.
Yeah.
And what that survey basically does is that it asks you questions about, it doesn't ask you for your name and anything, so don't be afraid, it's anonymous.
Yes, anonymous.
But it asks you questions about, like, what's your current state of life, like, what are the needs around you, what do you think is the highest priority areas, what should the leaders focus on for the first 5 years, the next 5 years, just those kind of quick questions. It's a very short 5-minute form. If you go to rivers2050.org/survey, you'll find that survey form. Please take it. That for us, that will be the biggest thing you have done for the project, because you've then given us your ideas and your dreams for how you think we should shape River State for the next 20 years.
That's that has me already. So we need those data to process it.
Yeah.
We have to look at it, analyze it, and put it together into a working document.
What about the people who doubt?
No, I know we've had many people about
Because I have someone who has sent me a message. It looks like he's doubting everything, and saying that I want to read. And he says,
please
good afternoon, Dr. Alex. Maduka Okoye, SEDC started like this, sounding posh, until we advocated for him to be added to the commission as a chairman because we thought he had the vision to push development and innovation. This is 2 years that commission was created, and instead of hitting the ground running, he's busy holding conferences. So I, at some point said, not big talk. For people who are doubting, because of course, so many persons are a bit skeptical, considering how much they have gone into relationship with, different commissions, different government, different administrations, and they've left them heartbroken. They've served them breakfast, so
political breakfast.
So for those persons, what do you have to say?
To be honest, we've had many skeptics, and I don't blame. I'm a citizen as well, so I don't blame us for being skeptical about things because we've been failed, just as James said. We've been failed over and over by our political leaders, right? Our leaders have let us down for so many years. So I understand why people are feeling skeptical about it. Some people have said, this will never work. When we began, they're like, this will never work. Nobody will listen to you. Why are you trying to do this and everything? Just what I have to say about that is that we are citizens like you. We don't hold any political position. We're not advocating for it. We're not trying to be, we're not carrying members of any political party. No. So we're not even doing this because we want you to vote for us or something. We're doing this because just like you, we're wondering why we're living in a state that has all these challenges, right? And we're wondering, what if we even try the little that we know?
To make it better.
To make it better. James, like I said, James has been trained at one of the highest policy schools. I'm a member of the Nigerian Economic Summit Group. So all of the expertise that we have and the brilliance that we feel university people have, how can we bring that together to the table and say, how do we solve our problems? And begin the conversation that hopefully charts us towards progress, much more than the kind of like toxic politics that we've seen ourselves holding. Right? So I understand how you feel. I'm not pushing away your feelings. I'm just saying come and see for yourself. I think we've had many skeptics come on and have seen that we have done things differently. People have seen that we're the ones, young people, raising out of our petty salaries, raising the funds to fund this project. We don't have any donors or nothing supporting us, but we're focused on how we can actually move our state forward. If you do come on and you see what we're doing, you will understand why we're different.
So this is just what I want to add. I think from time immemorial, there has always been doubt in humans, So it's understandable. It's fine. You're free. But for us, we are more of values-driven young people who just want to make a difference, and not just positive difference. We're interested in the growth and overall development of the state. It's you may want to feel bad because the government has failed so much, but it takes a voice from here, And before you know, an army is rising.
Yeah.
A movement is
Yeah.
coming up. So, okay, let's get it right.
Yeah.
We have failed in this area. What can we do to make it? Okay, we can fix it. It's doable. I'll keep saying River State is not out of redemption.
Mhm.
It's not.
It's not. Yeah.
It's not.
You can actually go there. I'm looking at the website rivers2050.org.
Yes.
rivers2050.org. And the number here works, right?
Yes, it works. Everything that works. So it's an attempt to even begin the conversation on how can we fix our states. That's what this is all about. So in governance, and I think I said this a couple of weeks ago when we had our radio talk across a couple of stations. In River State, we noticed that the state is a lot more interested and passionate about the politics, which is more like the theater of political parties and who is in control and votes and stuff like that, much more than what happens when people get into office. It's almost like we come alive every 4 years. Like we're active now. There's so much talk about politics. Who is supporting who is with this person? And once the voting happens, everyone goes quiet. But the truth is, what happens in between one election and the other election is what truly shapes our lives, right? The decisions that are made on the budgets. When last did we see the River State government budget? Almost 12 years, right? So as a state, we don't even know how much. I mean, he mentioned fact 4 trillion naira say over the past 24 years and 5 years. 4 trillion naira. We don't even know what is been spent on, right?
Just to interject you, have we looked at the results from our external examination like WAEC, NECO, to see how Rivers individuals are faring? I think there should be enough like statewide emergency on education. We're having a conversation.
Yes, we have about education.
And just Rivers children are suffering.
You go to schools. There was a time when we had some of the best schools, by the way. We were UNESCO World Book Capital. You remember that, Alex? Now? We were World Book Capital, and we had folks from UNESCO come down. This was 2014. And they used to marvel at the schools we had in interior parts of local government areas. They had smart boards. Can you imagine that schools in HA had smart boards?
Exactly.
All of those things are gone.
So what happened?
They have trees growing in the center of some of these classrooms.
And then you see children battling with snakes inside classes.
So River 2050 was just us saying, okay, how do we bring everyone to the conversation and say, okay, there's so much noise about politics and people who go into the political space. But governance, how we solve our problems, the deliberate action to fix problems in the states, there's no question about that. So let us start something as young people. Let us see how we can go back to our glory days and say, how can we even imagine what the next 10, 15 years can be for us as a state? What is possible with the resources that we have? And how can we ensure that we then advocate for the right leaders that would give us the solutions that we need, right? That's the summary.
What is effective resource utilization.
Yeah.
Since 2024, this journey has started, and in these years, this is 2026. So let's say, give or take 2 years or maybe a year plus.
Yeah, we actually started in 2025, so in February 2025.
Okay.
Even though the initial conversations began in late 2024, but the project launched in February.
So who are the people showing up for these conversations? Because you might be talking about this and the young people are not interested.
Funny enough, we've had a lot of young people, right? So like I said, when we built the project, the first step was set up a task force. And the task force is the team that then handles all the other parts of the project. We have currently a task force over 150 young people from River State. Volunteers, so not paid. So we're not paying them, we're not doing it. So this is cut across the entire 20 local government areas of the state. And then these young people are now also the ones who have also been leading the focus group conversation. So we identified 15 areas where River State needs to grow in as our thematic areas, right? Things like blue economy, you mentioned agriculture, right? Tourism, energy, for example. Like as a state, we have so much natural resource for renewable energy that we should be selling energy to other states. We should be the generator.
We should have floating solar farms.
We should be the owners of energy.
Exactly.
See what's Abia, just see the Children in Abia State in 3 years, right? We should be, 10 times that, right? And so we brought people to come discuss from the oil companies and come discuss like what's the future of energy in the state. The state should also River State should also have its own modular refinery. If other parts in Nigeria are struggling with fuel, we should not be struggling with fuel.
Okay.
It's in our ground.
So just to add to this now, we are an oil producing state, so can we be the hub of subsea engineering? It's possible.
Because this this that you just spoke about a couple of times that I talk about it during my newspaper review.
Yeah.
I do say let's take a very classic example, and that is a country like Canada. And across the provinces in Canada, what so many provinces are doing is they are trying to lead in different sectors.
Yes.
You see these persons saying, do you know what? I want to be the leader when it comes to healthcare. So I'm going to poach people,
the best doctors all over the world, bring them here.
So that people will come to this province
health tourism,
and grow this province.
Yeah.
And some persons will look at it like a place like Newfoundland and Labrador, or maybe Nova Scotia. They are in the water areas. So say, do you know what? Let's be the
maritime
area, and we push on it. You see, these are the ideas that we need to be looking at, but unfortunately we aren't looking at it. And that's a question I'll ask both of you. We cannot be master of everything and master of none. So what areas do you think that we need to drive heavily that can, put us there high above everything? We might not be able to carry everything. But what are the areas that the government would have been able to invest in here and there? Maybe short term, maybe long term, that can make us that chosen destination in Nigeria.
Let me first of all tell you the areas that our survey has shown. So from our survey of over 4,000 rivers people, what people are saying is, and we've summarized as 4 E's, as in E's. And the first E is education. We can lead in education. We have led in education. We've done it before so much in the past. We're the first sub-Saharan city that's been world book capital. Now we have Accra and the rest that have become, but we're the first as River State, as Port-Harcourt. So we can lead in education. And some of the smartest people in this country who have built in the banking industry, in energy, if you're talking about people like Tony Cole or even the late Herbert Wigwe, or some of the smartest people are from the States.
So talking about education, I think the guy that's called the highest SATs.
Yes, SATs. It's from Graceland. The highest SAT score. Here in River State.
So what does it tell us? We have the best of the best. And so if we have to focus, we just need to focus more on education, HDI. Because that's a major key for development. The more literate your people are, the ability for them to think constructively, for them to think analytically, and for them to think critically.
Matters.
It matters. So it's not about writing exams paper, but that's thinking ability where you can stretch the mind.
Solving problems.
Solution providers. You can stretch the mind, and the mind is just an elastic waiting on the spawn, and they're just waiting for you to like, okay, I want to do this. And then I'll find 1,000 ways to do this.
So, and education, we often think of classrooms alone most times, but education needs to even incorporate, not too far from us, the craft center is here, even skills education. Do you realize that some of the best tilers and POP people, we import them to the States to make them?
We have a
government of Cotonou, from this Benin.
Yes.
So why? So why aren't we building the skills for it here?
Technical educational centers that can be strong, that are standardized.
So
you want to be a bricklayer, you can go through the process.
So education is one. The second E was employment, which you think is very big, especially youth and employment. Many young people. In fact, this state has the third highest unemployment rate in the country.